Hi, Dr. Van Biezen here, licensed chiropractor and performance coach out on the PGA Tour for the last 19 years. I'm here today with John, and we're going to go through some band activation exercises today. And we're going to talk a little bit about the golf swing and the motion that you need to have in the golf swing. So when you look at the golf swing, there's three planes of motion that you have to go through. Number one is what we call the frontal plane. And what that means, it's just a side-to-side motion. Okay, that's really, really important. The second part of the golf swing incorporates is what we call sagittal plane, or that's more the front and back motion. And the last important one, which is probably the last one or the most important one, is the rotational part of it, right? We call that the transverse plane. So that's just your body going into rotation. So John and I are going to take you through this exercise program with the bands on how to incorporate those planes of motions to get the body moving and activated in those planes, okay? So the first one we're going to do, and this is called what's called a banded side step. This is in the frontal plane. So what we're going to go through today, this is actually what I take Justin Thomas through before you see him on the tee box hitting his first shot. We really want to make sure that Justin and my guys on the PGA Tour are really stable over the golf ball. And when we talk about frontal plane stability, is a lot of you guys might be having problems with this, but even the PGA Tour players have problems with this, is when they get set up, and as soon as they pull the club back on the backswing, they get off the ball, right? And that's called, they sway off the ball. And so when we get you strong in the frontal plane, we want those hips nice and stable so you can turn around those hips, okay? So that's really, really important. That's why we're doing these exercises today. So John's gonna grab these bands. Yep, and then he's gonna cross them into like an X pattern. There you go. Now, this is probably the least resistance right now where his hands are at the handles, okay? So what we want to do is we want to call what's called, I would say, your 5-iron posture or a hip hinge. So you want a nice hip hinge here, okay? You want to make sure the shoulders are square. You want to make sure the neck is nice and neutral, okay? And you want to make sure that the hips are balanced. So you don't want your hips going forward on the left or forward on the right. You want to make sure they're nice and square. Okay, so all John's going to do is do a side step. Okay, good. And back the other way. So now when you start looking at this, you want to make sure you're going to feel the burn in the glute medius muscles, right? That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get those glutes fired up, get them activated. It's important. If John wants to go a little bit more resistance, he can take those guys and bring them up, creates more tension in the band. Okay. Hips stay square, shoulders stay square, nice hips. You can see him starting to stand up. We want to stay in golf posture. Okay, so John's going to stop for a second, and I'm going to talk a little about foot placement. So John, come in the center here. When you're doing this exercise, again, for the proper muscle recruitments, we want the toes to go in. When the toes go in, it actually engages the glutes better. What we notice over the years, when your glutes start getting fatigued or they're just not strong or stable enough, the toes actually start flaring out and you're pulling with your toes. And what's happening is you're engaging these muscles, which you don't want. You want the big old butt muscles to do their job. Okay, so John has the toes in, good. And let's do this, John, turn to your right. Perfect. So when I say golf posture or I say hip hinge, you want a nice line from the butt to the T-spine, and you want the neck to come in. So it's a nice straight line, okay? We don't want you standing up. I want to train you in your golf posture so you stay in your golf posture during the golf swing. I hope that makes sense. I'm a big advocate is if you start training in improper movement patterns, you're going to start seeing it on your golf swing, okay? So we want basically a good neutral pelvis. We don't want John's butt sticking out, and we don't want John's butt sticking forward, right? So it's a nice neutral, nice straight line, okay? Mid-back in line with the head, good. Now he's just gonna go side step. So now you can kind of see golf posture, what I'm talking about, and back the other way. And whatever you can tolerate as far as tension, either hands down by your hips or your hands down up by your shoulders. Okay, good, okay. So what we wanna do, if you have more room, I would like to do 2 sets of 10 going left and 2 sets of 10 going right. If you don't have that room, kind of John did some side steps here, you can go this way as well, okay? And just get those 10 steps, and that's a great activation for those glutes, okay? So then we're gonna do what's called a banded golf posture T-spine rotation. And this is really, really critical. Can we grab these, John?
Yep.
So let's walk you through the proper setup first, okay? Again, we're gonna get into a golf posture. So nice, good posture, good positioning, good here. Hips stay square, shoulders are square, butt's engaged, feet are on the ground. And so what John's gonna do, he's actually gonna stay in that position. He's actually just gonna rotate the band around his chest. Right, nice, good turn, yeah. So let's do 10 reps right. Good. And I'm okay with you exaggerating the rotation. I'm okay with that because I really want you to get that mid back, which we talked about earlier, to really get moving. So the same time we're increasing motion in your mid back, we're engaging the muscle groups in the back here, really important. So this is not only gonna help you with T-spine rotation, it's gonna help you stay in a golf posture, in your golf swing. Good, keep going. Good, so let's go 10 on the left. As you can see with John, he's really starting to compensate with his hips. So I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to put him back to neutral. Now go, John. See how he struggles with that? So remember I mentioned before, the body wants to find the path of least resistance. As he turns, his whole body is turning. One of the components here, which I need to bring up, is I want you to be able to turn your upper body around a stable base too, right? So as you're turning, I don't want your pelvis turning with that. I want to keep that pelvis square, and I want you turning around that stable base, right? Number 10, good. Okay, so that's really important move. There's a lot of components to it. It looks easy, but if you do it the right way, it's going to take some time to kind of figure that out. And we'll go through this again, okay? Okay. We're going to keep these bands here, so John's going to grab these bands. So this is called a banded split lunge pull, okay? So he's basically going to get into left leg forward, right leg back, okay? This is really important. So as you can see what John's doing, he is actually hyperextending his low back. We don't want that. So what we're going to do, we're going to get him to lean forward. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, so the way I want it, and we'll show you a different angle here in a second, is I want your spine in line with your back leg that's stretched out, okay? Because what that does, the more I get John more forward, which I call increase your spine angle, the more this glute's gonna work. If he gets upright, it's more quad. And I don't want that. Most people are strong in their quads, they have strong legs. Majority of people just don't have really strong, stable glutes. So he needs to go forward here, perfect. Can you feel it in your glutes now? Yeah. So now what John's gonna do is gonna here, good stable base, engage the core, and he's gonna pull the bands. And as he's pulling, you can go this way, nice easy motion. Watch your neck, keep your neck there, there you go. And then you can exaggerate that motion too, right? So let's just do 10 pulls, John. Great, so let's switch sides. Okay, so you want to get into good posture, right? Good. So yeah, so again, we want that here. Spine in line with the leg here. Good. Let's do 10 pulls on this one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Go ahead and stand up. So those are important, and that again helps engage all the muscles of the back, gets that glute to fire on that single leg. But we're going to go through this again, but we're going to actually incorporate now a little bit of more T-spine rotation with you. So get into the position, go to the other side again. Good, good spine angle, good, perfect. So as he pulls with his right arm, he's now going to rotate. See how that T-spine rotates now? He's the front of that shoulders in the front of that left knee. Go ahead and pull the other way. Good. Yep, and then go back the other way. See, now you're really, really going to open up the T-spine. You're going to engage the glute. You're still, remember we talked about, we want the upper body to be rotating around a stable base. That's really critical. Okay, let's go 3 more for John. Good. Okay, let's switch legs. Setup's really, really important to make sure we recruit the proper muscle groups. John's really getting it now. This is awesome. Okay? Good turns, good T-spine rotation, good left, right glute activation. And what I tell when you talk about the feet, keep going, John. We're gonna do 8 of these, so just follow John. We got 4 more left. He can drive into the ground with his heel. So try to do the heel drive, John, and not so much your toe. There you go. That'll keep it a little more stable. We got 2 more. Perfect, good. Okay, so we're doing a single leg exercise, and so when you think about the golf swing and you think about just in life in general, we're never really standing on both our feet at the same time unless we're just standing here. If we're walking or we're playing golf, we're always basically on one leg compared to the other one. So I'm really big on being really strong, interdependent of each side, left leg, left glute, right glute. And so when you start doing these split lunges, that really accentuates that mobility and stability in those hips, okay? So they're gonna go the same thing now. We're just gonna do a banded split lunge, but we're gonna do now pushes, okay? So now we're basically gonna go the front side, okay? So the way we're gonna do this, I want the elbows, don't go any further past the shoulder. I want the elbows at 90 degrees of my shoulder, okay? Get into a good positioning here. I don't want you hyperextending your back or arching your back. That's gonna create some issues, and it's gonna be more quad. I'm gonna bring the spine forward, okay? So now my spine's in line with my right back leg. Keep my elbows at 90 degrees, and I'm just gonna rotate this way. Okay?
Got it.
All right, let's get into proper setup. Good. So now we want to go elbows up, elbows at 90, forward, boom. So this is where we want to stay. We don't want to create this elbow to go behind the shoulder because it can kind of jam your shoulder. So it's more of a frontal punch, boom, boom. There we go. Okay, so let's let John stop for 1 second again. Make sure those elbows stay up here, right? So the way we want it is that. Make sense? Mm-hmm. All right, let's do 10 reps. Let's get a bigger spine angle. Come towards me with your spine. There you go. Load that left hip. Perfect. Punch. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Switch legs. Good. Good spine angle. Good. Elbows at 90. Right. Just keep them a little bit below the shoulder. Don't let the elbows go past the shoulder when you push. Go. And what you're doing is you're firing off the pec muscles. You're engaging the core for sure. Okay. And you're basically loading that left glute. So a lot of things are going on with this move. Good. 2 more. 10, yeah. And we'll do 10 reps. Good. All right. So those motions I just showed you with John, those are the sagittal plane motions, right? Those are the motions that occur in this positioning. And so I know a lot of golfers, whether you're high handicap, low handicap, PGA Tour player, a lot of players would, what we say, getting out of posture. So as I turn, I don't have a stable base to turn my body around. What do I do to compensate? I actually come out of posture and I stand up, right? So that's why I'm really big on the golf posture in your training. So when you're swinging the golf club, you stay in that posture. That's just really important, okay? And that's the motion in frontal plane. So now we're gonna add a frontal plane motion with rotation, okay? And so the way we do this, the band's gonna come, keep the elbow below the shoulder. The band's gonna kind of right over my forearm here. Watch my wrist. I want my wrist to be neutral, right? We don't want anybody having wrist issues, especially when we're working out, okay? Shoulder square, hip square, a little bit of a golf posture, what I call your 5-arm posture. I'm gonna load into my right foot, right hip, okay, keeping this up, and then I'm gonna push, so it's a sequence. Push foot, push hip, rotate hip, engage core, punch. And I wanna get to my left side, right? So I wanna be up on my toe on my right foot here. Okay, so it's a good sequencing move. Load, foot, hip, core, upper body, punch, okay? I'm using 2 bands. That's a lot of resistance. If that's too much for you, take one away and just use a single band, right? Again, quality over quantity. That's really important for you, okay? All right, let's get John set up. So again, we're gonna go 10 repetitions on this one. So remember we talked about down, yep, boom. So you wanna have this arm kind of in line with the angle of your band. And so John's gonna load right hip, come up, punch out, yep. And we wanna make sure that right foot comes, or heel comes off the ground. Good, 2, let's do 10 reps. Think of punching somebody, so if John wants to punch me, I'm standing right here. Good, good and core. It's a sequence, right? Foot, hip, core, upper body, punch. 2 more. Good. Nice, okay? It's a really, really good exercise. It almost mimics your golf swing, right? Because if you really think about how the golf swing works, it's a sequence, right? It's you want to use the ground, generate the transfer of power from the ground up into your hands, right? So let's go other way. So again, setup's important. Elbow comes down a little bit, in line with the band. Neutral wrist, we want neutral wrist. And he's gonna go on the left foot, left hip. Yep. Really come at me, John. Come at me, punch me. Get off that left side, punch. There we go. If you feel really comfortable with this motion and you don't have any issues, any aches or pains, this could be a speed move for you. Like you could really go at this. This is important. If you know, obviously it's going to be a learning curve for you to understand this motion. 2 more. Good. 1 more. Get over to me. Boom. Good. And when go ahead and face me for a second, John, or get in that position again. So make sure he comes right at me. His chest is facing me. He's off that left leg onto his right leg, right? And this is where we want him here, right? Okay, good. And that's just a matter of in the golf swing again. I'm always going to come back to this. You've probably heard people say, hey, I need to get to my left side. Train to get to your left side. Get to that left side, boom, right? Train it with the band. I want you to be able to do it in the gym in a controlled environment so you can transfer what you're learning, the tools you're learning in the gym, to your golf swing on the golf course, on the range. That's really, really important. All right, we're done that circuit, that activation circuit that we did regarding those planes of motion, right? The frontal plane, the side plane, and the rotational plane. And those are really, really important to do. Again, as far as band resistances, I would say on a scale of 0 to 10, if you don't feel comfortable, it can be a 5 resistance all the way up to a 7 resistance. You saw John at the very end, that was probably like a 7, 8. Really good resistance, and it really just stretches your body. So good luck with these. Keep doing these. These are a little more complex. It's going to take some time to learn them, but it's a process, right? We just need to kind of work through it. And like I said before, I want you to learn how to do this motion in the gym, because then now you can take it out in the golf course. So I wish you luck. For those of you that want more of this and you feel you can do it physically, you have the endurance and the strength and stability, repeat that circuit. Go through it a second time. Like I said, 2 sets of 10 reps on each exercise, and just push yourself. The more you push yourself, the better you're going to get. I want to thank you guys for being with us today. Stick with it. I know you're going to get better at it. I know it's going to help your golf swing. I know you're going to enjoy yourself on the golf course with your buddies this summer.